we go. Hi, everybody. Hello to all the listeners of this lovely podcast thing. I'm here with my friend John McMahon, who I have known. When I physically met you in New York, I think.
Yes, you were doing some note taking, I believe.
Level 2, probably.
Level 2.
Neurokinetic therapy in New York. Yes.
And you were just kind of like jotting away, and I was like having the stuff kind of jing jing.
Yeah. I mean, I was too, but my coping strategy was to write down every word. like a court stenographer.
And you were too. You had that notebook. And you were just like.
Yep. That's how I got through college.
We had to sit and wait for break to even talk to you because you were so there in the moment.
I used to get teased in college because I would have in one hand, I would have whiteout and the other hand, I'd have my pen. And if there was a break in the teacher's lecture, I would take my whiteout and like fix any words that I had to cross out because I wanted my notes to be like perfect. Yeah. And I didn't have a computer. I wasn't typing. I wasn't really great at typing. So everything was handwritten, man. I've let a lot of that go. Now when I go to class, I don't even take notes.
Did you just retain it?
I am able to retain it. What's important.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. But I take different classes now. And like Jordan's class, the craniosacral classes. I mean, what's there to take for a note in there? Like, not a lot. You're kind of absorbing as you go, and there's a lot of hands-on. So
that is true. That is more. This is now your
note-taking.
Your notes. That's your note-taking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Yes. So before go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, it was just like I was actually supposed to be hosting Jordan the first weekend in May.
I know, and I'm mad about that. Just realized I'm mad about that. I was going to try to come.
There's a big boat. We'll put you in the boat. We'll allow it.
We're all in the boat together. Mm-hmm. Well, we were just chatting before we pushed record on how you've had 37 years of experience as a therapist.
Well, let's see. I graduated massage school down in Chicago in 1986. So for most of your listeners, they may not have been born yet.
Yeah.
So
that's true. Yeah, I was what? 9? I was 9. That's so fun. Anywho, so can you go back in time and tell us, how did you even end up in massage school? Was it something you always wanted to do, and a little bit of your path?
Sure. So it all kind of started in college for me, where I'd be at parties, and I just always had this knack for laying my hands on people and working on them. And people would be like, God, you could do this like professionally, and especially like exam week. It would literally be like 4 people laying down, and I would do like 10 minutes. I didn't know what I was doing. And I transferred from a non-competitive school to a competitive school at the University of Minnesota. And I was going for PR advertising. I was like, oh, just take my 5 core classes and, go into school of journalism. And what I did not realize is you needed like a 3.8 in your core and a 3.5 overall in order to get in the school of journalism.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, Minnesota's a big school, so they had to like plunk it down. I get that. And that just wasn't happening for me.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe this is where my talent lies. So I went back home, went to the library with the you know, there's no internet at this time, by the way, people.
Right. Yeah. Not till the
So
90s.
this is going to the card catalog and asking the librarian for help, and actually found a school that literally was probably 3 miles from my house, a massage school. And I was like, great. So I called them in May, said I wanted to do this. She's like, well, we'd really like you to take a smaller course, make sure. I'm like, no, this is where I want to be. She's like, I'll hold a spot for you. I'll get back to us in August. So I got back to her in August, and they're like, yeah, we don't think the instructor's coming back. And all of a sudden I was like, ooh, yeah, that was it. So it was, you know, those moments in life where the video, you know, where everybody is placed. My dad's here, my mom's here. It's just the sit down and the pivot point. And I remember telling him the massage school closed down, and my dad was like, damn it, you get your ass down to MATC or UWM and sign up for classes. And I was like, Dad, just like, why waste your money, my time? And I think one of my best attributes is when I got my back up against the wall, I come out fighting.
Yeah.
And luckily I had a list of schools that were AMTA certified, and the next closest one was Chicago. And I said, what if I can get in this school? And he's like, fine. So ended up getting into the Chicago school, which at that time was probably the Harvard of massage schools. It was run by Bob King and Jim Hackett. And Bob King's now in the Massage Therapy Hall of Fame. Fantastic. The guy was just brilliant. Just really knew his stuff. Randy Cummings was one of my teachers. So
that's so cool. So, I love that guy.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just a really neat vibe. So I would drive down, or I would actually take the train down and hop on the bus. So I had to figure out like the bus schedule and the subway and everything like that.
Yeah.
And classes were on Tuesday nights, and technique class was on Wednesday afternoon, and then I would make my way back home. So, but, you know, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, she's going to ask this question. I think when I truly figured out, and this is just like unbeknownst to me, I broke my leg in 9th grade, and I was in a thigh length cast for 8 weeks. And then I went to a just below the knee plaster cast. And I knew that there was no way I was going to be able to walk efficiently with that. So I remember going up into my bedroom, and I just laid on my bed, and I just sat and worked on moving my knee, just getting that motion back. I had tears, just the pain, tears just running down my eyes. But after about an hour, boom, I was like, you know, there's not that pain. There's not, you know, and of course everything is just atrophied at that point. So, yeah, that's probably where, like, you know, you never really know, but as I look, that might have been my point.
Yeah, the birth of your passion for rehab.
Yes.
Rehabbing yourself from that at 14 years old, which I'm trying to think of any 14-year-old that I know that would have done that. I don't know any.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, and those plaster casts were not very light. So there was a lot of weight on top of that. And I just remember just the tears coming down. But I got through it. I got through it. And that's, you know, because I knew I had this very long walk to go to school. Yeah. And I was just like, I have to. There's no other way. Yeah.
So,
So that was,
so how did you find your first gig? Like, were you always in private practice? Did you work in a spa for a while? You know, what was that like when you
um,
first began?
I actually, my first job was in a osteopathic clinic. Um,
Neat.
and that lasted for about 3 months.
Oh,
Uh, it was, yeah, it was more or less, there was another rooster in the hen house.
mm,
So, um, you know, I got hired like a day after this other girl who had no massage experience, but she was absolutely gorgeous. So, I mean, you're going to keep me or this gorgeous girl with these doctors. I
yeah.
got, I got
Yep.
it, got the door.
Got it.
Um,
Huh.
but I did learn a lot. I did learn because it was like hot packs, traction, ultrasound, massage.
Oh
So
God.
I got all these modalities that I got to learn
Yeah.
because I was working under their license.
Yeah.
So that was very cool in that sense. So I mean, you do take that value away and understand. The one thing I did learn is to wear my seatbelt.
Oh
And this
yeah.
was
Right.
before seatbelt days, because everybody was like, how'd this happen? Car accident. Were you wearing your seatbelt? No. No, I was like, okay, I do not need 3 times a week for 8 months.
Right.
I clicked, even before it was like law.
You know, that's super interesting. I don't remember a time in which I didn't wear a seatbelt. I think my parents were always making us wear them, even when in the 80s. But they were those like lap belt ones that I don't think were even really that effective.
Yeah, that's, I mean, we had a station wagon all the time. So it was
Yeah.
just one of those where you know, you were just throwing
Rolling
the
around.
ball around in the car and
Yeah.
jumping from the back seat into the further back seat. And
Right. Oh, I remember one of my friends had a station wagon that had seats in the back that like faced each other or something. Was that a thing? Did I
actually,
make that
the
up?
seats flipped out so that you would face out the back window.
Oh,
At,
yeah.
or
I'm not
ours.
sure I'm
But
remembering
yeah,
correctly.
there could have been other ones.
Uh, anyway, so what was your favorite job all along the way besides being your own boss? I'm sure that's probably your favorite, but other.
My most favorite job. Um,
Going through 30 years now. Back in the time machine.
yeah. Wow. So I would have to say being a newspaper boy.
Ah, I love it. Why?
Um, actually, no, I take that back. It was delivering groceries. It's delivering groceries. Almost every job I've had, I've been kind of out on my own. So
Uh-huh.
I worked for a real small mom and pop grocery store where, now, and once again, this is in high school, you would call in,
Uh-huh.
they would write down what you wanted. We'd walk through the store, pull things. So this online stuff is not new. This was
Right.
way back.
Yeah.
And they would hit, the register, ding, 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 ding. And then we'd box everything up, and refrigerators, we'd write the name, everything, and they would just send me off with, like, in a van, here's all the groceries. I would actually have to route my
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And there was no cell phone. So in order to get a hold of me, they would have to figure out my route and be like, oh, hey, John, you missed a bag,
Yeah. Yeah.
or so-and-so. And I'd be like, because that would happen. That
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
happen.
Huh.
But that was a really fun job because I was independent, and I was making like $4 an hour cash back in 1980, which
That's a lot.
that was pimping money
Yeah, no kidding.
back then. Because I think minimum wage was like $1.95 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
I remember when I
$4.
started working, it was like maybe 220. Is that true? I don't know, maybe
Yes.
425, something like that. It was not a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
not a lot. Huh. Cool. So what are some of the things that you've learned along the way that were super valuable that you would recommend even today?
I kind of go by the Mr. Rogers philosophy.
Yeah.
Just be kind, be kinder, and even be that much more kind. It just resonates. I think the more you give out, the more it comes back to you, but not to expect anything coming back to you.
Okay.
And just keep giving from your heart. And good things will happen. I mean, it's life, but that's kind of my philosophy on life, is just give, and something's going to flip for you. And it's not, we don't have that plan. There's somebody else is running the show.
Yeah.
And it could be, 30 years down the road, and then you get that blessing in return, and you're not expecting it. It just happens.
Yep. And
you don't realize it was from something you did way back in the day. That's the beauty of it. So
I love it. How do you navigate that with balance? I'm curious, because that has always been my philosophy too. But it took me a while to weed through my motivation and understand my motivation for giving. I wasn't always clear with it like I am now. It used to be a lot of unconscious motivation to receive love, to receive attention, to get something back. But it was super unconscious. So I wasn't aware that I wasn't giving altruistically. I'm curious how you learned to kind of see yourself clearly.
Boy, you asked some really good questions. This is not how I expected this to go.
No, I know.
Wow. This is like deep thoughts here.
Deep thoughts with Jamie and John.
Yes. That's a good question. I don't think I have a good answer for you.
Yeah.
I think if you just, I mean, definitely you got to set your boundaries.
Right. How do you do that?
Well, so for example, all my continuing ed, like once I took NKT and I decided to go down that road, all the other classes, anything neuro has been for me individually to help heal myself. And then I will take that and impart that wisdom and use it for my clients.
Yeah.
But I'm being really selfish right now on my classes because it's about me at this point.
Yeah.
So I guess in that route, I'm okay with it. That's how I would kind of view things, where it's all about healing John.
Yeah, I get that. I think a lot of people who are taking classes are not hip to that. They don't understand that. They often don't understand that they're not there to learn some technique for their clients, but they're actually looking for, some reason, some help for their wounding.
Oh yeah, I'm all about that. Like anything neuro that I can. And what's very interesting is, like, I did not realize I took a class called IKN, and took that class, and they were having us do stuff with lymphatic stuff, and I was just like, whoa, I got this lymphatic issue. So then I'm like, okay, let's go deeper. And I go take Perry Nicholson's lymphatic mojo class, and he starts spewing stuff. And all of a sudden I'm like, that's when I was sick back in, 1993, and I lost 20 pounds. I was down to 140. Nobody could figure me out.
Yep.
That's when I was sick, and I had this, I had this SI pain where it was actually a prostate issue, but that was a lymphatic issue because I had this swelling right by my abdominal scar. And I was like, and it caused me to miss a trip to visit my son out in Seattle. And all of a sudden I started putting all these pieces together. And then it's just like, oh yeah, but it just made all this sense. And it's just, I'm grateful that at age 34, I was able, or 54, to be like, wow, I can still make this happen. I can still take care of myself. So, and that's my goal. Cause I've also, had like 10 concussions on top of the appendix stuff. And,
Yeah.
I was with that when it ruptured, I was 10 years old and I was septic for a good 30 hours. And then I also, that Saturday, I threw up 26 times, 26, 28 times. So, and then to pump it all out, they take a tube down your nose, down your throat to get that crap out. So faulty breathing patterns set up really early, septic, lymphatic. Right. And then I start, like, it felt so good to get that validation from taking the classes for myself to understand why I wasn't getting the answers I was looking for from the medical community, but then I could work on myself. So I was like, cool. So I was just thrilled. So the past probably 2.5 years have been all about me, like taking Jordan's cranial class was very important to me to help out with this one client because I knew I had a deficiency there. But once I took the class, I realized, oh, this class is for me.
Yeah.
I'll just help my other. Now I'll help this client. But I was like, oh, I need this work. Yeah. So I think that's when it all kind of flipped. And when I was like, no, I took that class for me.
I'm curious about one thing, because you've been around for a long time and you've taken many, many classes over your years of experience. I'm curious how you navigate this dynamic. It doesn't happen for me any longer, but it used to be that when I would go to a class, it was like I had a whole new list of problems than things that were wrong with me. And like all this new stuff to be paranoid about. I'm curious if you've had that same experience where it's like you had a problem list of maybe 5 things and then you went to a new class and it was like 40 things that you had to kind of tease out, work with, maybe worry about, that kind of thing.
It wasn't a worry about. I think it was more of a self-awareness that I became about it. And then once I took these classes, it was just all these puzzle pieces. And I was just like, yes. And now my picture became so much clearer. And then the understanding, and I'm like, okay, how do I treat John? How do I take care of John?
Yeah.
Because my daughter she does geriatric PT and does the neural work. So she works with Parkinson's, dementia, strokes, all that kind of stuff. She's like, Dad, you're going down a path. And I just told her, I'm like, Casey, no, I'm not. I'm drawing my line in the sand and it's not going to happen. And I said, and if it does, I'd rather be a shit show at 75 than 65. So I'm looking to stretch that out.
Yeah. What kind of path does she think you're going down?
Pardon?
What kind of path does she think you're going down?
She just thinks she's worried about all the research shows that I'm due to get dementia.
What? Oh, because of your concussions.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Casey. Oh, yeah. That's not going to happen.
No, I
no, you're working on yourself. You wouldn't even let your leg get stiff. Like, I doubt you're going to let your mind get gone.
Well, yeah, and that's the cool thing. If I didn't go down this NKT path, I'd probably not have this, that's the beauty of NKT is it's not only the work, but it's more the relationships I built with
Mm-hmm.
the community and all the cool people. I said, I could travel the country and I could call like you and Noah up and I'd say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, can I stay at your place for a couple days? Yeah, we'd love to have you. Okay, there's my next spot. Then I could find somebody in Nevada. I could hit California. I could go up the coast.
You could go all over in California.
Yeah, you could go all over and just like, hey, I need a place to crash for, a day. They're like, yeah, sure. So, and that might be like a cool trip to do one day where I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to travel the country and go visit all of my friends for a couple days and just hang out at their houses
Yeah.
and bop
Mm-hmm.
and treat and bop and treat. That would be a cool trip.
Yeah.
That's a bucket list trip now.
It is. You can get a big motorhome RV thing and just drive around, or even a car. It doesn't have to be a motorhome. Yeah, very fun. Someday I'd like to do that. I could just pop open my computer and do another Skype session with someone. It's convenient when you work online. You can go anywhere in the world and work. It's pretty nice.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm finding out in this whole. And thank God for Marissa in the Hive Mind for I mean, when she got on there and she was like, okay, anybody that's got anything that can help people, like, you need to share it, even if it's an hour. And it's just all this wealth of information came in that I wasn't expecting. And new people kind of like have grown through this whole thing that I've got to watch. And as much as I missed Jordan's class, I've gotten all this other information about breathing and, meridians and just lymphatics and just everything. And I'm like, okay, where do I want to work with this? And just on a movement scale, it's just been like so incredible that when I did my kind of final off, or when I closed my office and I said, for some odd reason, I feel really, really, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to come out of this just fine. And I didn't know it was going to be more on an educational aspect of things than anything else. So it's just, that's been the really neat thing.
What's your favorite thing that you've picked up? Like the thing that really lights you up?
I've always been a big proponent of the sway test. I love the sway test, and I love teaching my clients the sway test. Like if it's almost like a party trick, and when they get it, and I'm like, the world is yours now. You can ask any question you want to. You can ask, like, go to a restaurant and you can say, do I want the chicken tenders or do I want the guacamole bacon cheeseburger? You can decide on that. I just love that. And then being able to understand that even though there's like a video, we can still make the connection with that energy because we are all interconnected. The whole, like the movie Avatar, that tree of life, that the root system goes so deep. I'm a firm believer in the whole that, and just getting that vibe from that person.
Yeah.
So that's been the cool thing of learning how to do that. And that's why I was like, oh, I got this long game that's set up really, really good. My short game, not so much, but in 2-3 years, I can now work from wherever I want to with whomever I want to. And now I've just opened up a big market in kind of the Brookfield, Waukesha, Milwaukee area, just because one of my high school friends was doing a Zoom class. She had to lay off like 75. No, she was doing a Zoom thing with some of my fellow graduates. And I just touched base with her and I'm like, how you doing? And she had to lay off like 75 employees from hairdressers.
Wow.
And I was like, oh. And I thought, and I don't know why, once again, that giving thing,
Yeah.
but part of me is like, John, you can help her out. So I called her up and I was like, hey, I can do like a breathing thing for your people so you can still kind of help them out. And I have created like a 8-part breathing lymphatic kind of course for hairdressers now, which if you had asked me that on March 18th, I would have said, that's funny. That's not going to happen. But here it is. And I'm creating this really cool thing. And we're on like stage 3. But what the really neat thing about the whole thing is we got done with the 3rd part. And they're like, what are we doing next week? And I was like, oh, that as a teacher is probably the most satisfying thing you could hear.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that comment that just got me. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing it right. It just felt so good. Like they are so excited.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm like thrilled.
Very cool.
I know. So now, I mean, what do hairdressers do? They talk. So I now have a band of potentially, my classes have been probably about like, she's got 75. They've been anywhere from 25 to 30 people, but then she records it and then puts it on her employee page.
Nice.
So people have been popping on.
Yeah.
So now I have an army who can spread the word of even like, oh, we've been working with this guy, da 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 da, and I don't know where it's gonna go.
Very cool.
But yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things where it just like it was like I was told to do it.
Yeah, you felt that call and listened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been working with other colleagues. I've been working with Nina on developing, Tanya Ford. I talked to Eric Nelson because Eric's like, oh, yeah, when I do big classes, I'm like in-house. He's like, you got a whole new challenge. And I was like, yeah, I do. So that's why it's in 8 parts, because I've been having to take, like, just sprinkle it a little bit because I don't want to blow anybody out. But yeah, that's been very, very interesting for me to have that happen. So we call it Wellness Wednesdays at 1 o'clock.
Wellness Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. That's lovely.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fun to teach. Have you done a lot of teaching?
Actually, yes. Well, not me. I've been more of a TA than anything else. And actually, it started with Bob King, who was and I took one of his classes, and I was like, Bob, I said, I went into him like, I really haven't learned anything per se because you taught me everything. And he's like, would you be interested in TAing the next time I'm through? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And that kind of started it. So I've been TAing massage classes for, wow. Yeah, that had to be like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I was TAing, and sometimes I'd be behind the camera. But always just kind of interesting how and I don't know if it's just because I was in the industry so long that it just like I was kind of like a go-to figure because I had all the experience or what. I don't know, but working with Bob King was just really awesome. And then TAing for NKT, and then Marissa saying, you need to start a Wisconsin chapter. So I started a Wisconsin group. And, my mom was a teacher. My dad was a teacher. I'm married to a teacher. My brother was a teacher. It's in my blood.
Yeah.
So it's a thing.
Yeah, it's the same in my family. Many people are teachers.
Yeah, and I've actually been, you know what, I guess really cool is I knew how great my wife was at her job. I just never realized how great she was at her. I mean, how because she works with like low level kids and works on, and she always tells me stories and that, but how she's just got that it factor.
Mm-hmm. This is great. Although I have an echo right now. I don't know why. Turn down my volume so hopefully it won't record as much. Yeah. So what do you, so when things open up and we're going to learn some new stuff and we can go to classes and such, what are you looking forward to in the next couple of years? Learning more about?
That's the magical question, because my wife has already told me if I wanted to, I could retire, like as of today. And I have 2 years left on a lease, and I don't want to be like, all right, let's work on this. And then it's just not a thing. So I know Marissa's got a class.
Yeah.
Supposedly Thomas has a class.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
About.
It's coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah. There's probably all these other classes that are getting designed that we don't even know about yet. So, and hopefully we can somehow put a semblance of Jordan's Adaptive Polarity Meridians class back into Janesville of some sort. So that would be it. Other than that, I'm kind of on my downswing, so to speak. I mean, I know everybody's kind of upticking in that, but I'm going to be looking at, 37, 38 years in an industry and be like, okay, now let's, this time off, I've been like, wow, this is just kind of nice to let the body kind of heal. Because I mean, I was like the deep tissue guy in Janesville before I flipped my practice.
Right.
So I did not realize how that 27 years of just beating the crap out, how that wore on me. So I'm just kind of like, it's been kind of nice, but I've been doing a lot of yard work outside. So, but I've been taking some classes that, like, I was staining the decking and got in a funky position. My lower back was bothering me. And I was with the breathing and some of the things I've learned with some of the movement stuff, I was able to pull myself out of it. And I was like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing. Once again, I was like, more about me, you know, because right now, I can't get anybody to get my hands on me. So if I can figure it out myself, that's going to be the beauty of it.
Yeah. And very empowering too.
Yes.
So how can people reach out to you if they want to work with you or ask you questions or learn about your breathing movement class?
Okay. Well, the breathing movement class.
What's the easiest way to get in touch with you?
It's usually on Facebook.
Okay.
It's actually, I did a rebrand. I haven't even got to my website yet. It was Alternative Wellness Massage Therapy. I am now Alternative Wellness Brain, Body, Breathe.
Okay, Brain, Body, Breathe.
Yeah, and it took me on my page manager, it took me probably 4 times where I would make the change and it'd be like, okay, we're going to allow this. And I was like, okay. Because when I wanted how I wanted it, it like kicked me out. It's like, no, you can't do that. I was like, so I had to like kind of, once again, just kind of like change it a little bit, change it. So now I got it to where I want it.
I know that story.
I was just like, really? like, what's wrong with the one full swoop?
Right.
So,
You're just ticking away at it.
so I'm really excited about the rebrand because I'm not doing, I don't view myself as a massage therapist anymore.
Yeah.
I view myself as a neuro-based practitioner. So I always, and it was always kind of a struggle for me, like, how do I dump this name, massage therapy, because I'm still getting calls, but I've been in the area of Janesville for 20 something years, and just to do the chop when I'm so close to the end, it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Right.
And this just opened the door.
Nice.
I was like, oh, hey, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm kind of using it as a rebirth. I've made a couple contacts, like I said, and now I can do the virtual work. So I'm kind of excited to see how this all transpires and how things move. It's just been with the quarantine. In fact, it's just been like really slow movement, because my army can't get out and talk, and of course they're not making any money.
Right.
So
Yeah.
but I guess I do have haircuts for life from my friend.
Nice.
He's like, you come in anytime you want to. You got haircuts now. You're all set. So I was like, oh God, I'm gonna be, yeah, because I mean, look at this thing. It's a madhouse.
I'm getting a lot of white hair growing in myself.
Well, I actually had to do the extra clip thing on my hat to make it fit today. It was kind of like sat
So much
tight now. Like, so yeah, that's.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, not a problem,
So
Jamie.
lovely.
It's always a pleasure talking to you. And we had been kind of touching base back and forth before this thing all kind of fell apart. And I don't even remember why we were touching base on things. But
who knows?
it is. It's just very weird how, like, the certain people I had aligned myself with previous, and then now they've kind of like popped up, and I was like, I don't feel like I'm hopping on their bandwagon. Like, I knew you already, you know? Like,
Absolutely.
So that's the really cool thing is it's kind of like in high school. I was never part of a clique. You could ebb and flow me through any group, and I would just be able to drop myself in, no problem.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel with this, is just kind of like, I can be friends with almost anybody.
Oh, yeah, me too. It's fun. All right, I have to go because I have somebody else coming in. Well, online.
All right,
In
go
my
do
office.
it.
So thank you again so much for today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.